Here we go. Thanks for tuning in, friends. Let's see, who do we have first? One on YouTube. I can't see who it is yet. Allergies. Nicole, thanks for joining us. You're the first. Kim, what's up? In Hanover. Good evening. Claudia, nice to see you. Hey, Cindy. Zach, it's good to see you. Sorry about that. Was sneezing before I hopped on. Melissa and Kelly and Rachel, top fan. What's going on? Marcus, good to see you. Don, nice. Jeremy, good to see you too. Top fan also. Christina, great to meet you today. Penny, good to see you. You're the first on the YouTube that I can see who it is, actually. There's several on there. Debbie and Sandy, both top fans. That's fantastic. Hey, Kathy and Mindy and Joanne, too. Vicky in Northampton, what is going on? Good to see you. Lisa, howdy. Mary, top fan. Dodie, what's up? And Rob from Butler. Lisa in Lebanon and Krista, hello. Okay, so Kelly, good to see you. A couple minutes on the Senate page here, and then we're going to hop off and go to the Fighting for Freedom page so I can talk more about what 45 and I discussed last week. So a couple minutes on this page, and then follow me over to Fighting for Freedom. On YouTube, you stay right where you are. So you're good. Penny is in Facebook jail. So watching on this other platform. 76 Corvette is in Korea. That's fantastic. Has the absentee ballot. I know those well. Okay, hey, Jamie, shalom. So real quick on the Senate page and the YouTube page, stay where you guys are. Senate page real briefly. So we'll be in session the week after next, so 2 weeks in a row. Hope to hold a committee, a voting session of my committee. Sorry. Looks like we'll be running 5 bills this month and then 3 bills and next. Both are designed to slash the bureaucracy, save us money, and also streamline state government. 5 of those bills are from Kristen Phillips Hill. I think one is John Gordner, another one's Lisa Baker, and there's one other in there, I think maybe Judy Ward. All good bills. We'll basically run just about everything we have out of committee there and give an opportunity for them to be run out of off the House floor. So I'll keep you posted on that. It's kind of a big deal. It's a big deal being a committee chair in the Senate, and happy to play a small role in trying to streamlining this bureaucracy in the state government. Lori, good to see you as well. Thanks, friends, for tuning in. Top fan, all. Shelly as well. So what we're going to do, sorry to confuse the people on the Facebook Live on my Senate page. What we're going to do now on the Facebook Live on my Senate page, we're going to hop off and go to Doug Mastriano, Fighting for Freedom. If you can follow me over there, I'll talk a few minutes about what some of the things that the president and I spoke of, and then we'll hop off. We'll keep it short. So YouTube, you guys are good to go. Facebook Live, I'll see you over. Give me a minute to get over there. You'll hopefully get the notification. Doug Mastriano, Fighting for Freedom, so we can talk about non-Senate related things. Some of it is related. It's about, of course, election reform, usually foremost on people's minds. So Facebook, I'm hopping off now, and see you on Doug Mastriano, Fighting for Freedom. Thank you. I need a tissue. Sorry about that. I was sneezing up a storm before I hopped on. And I think I was messing with the fireplace and moving wood outside before I started. It's a little bit chilly down here. Almost done with this. Didn't take any Zyrtec today. Try not to. It makes me a little groggy. You guys, you know what I mean? I like to be in top of my game. Okay. Well, so one benefit of the YouTube stream, of course, is no disruption. So, Susan, good to see you. Paulette, hola. Okay, didn't get the notification. Oh, that's kind of. Thank you, friends. I see on the Facebook that many have followed us over. Thanks for finding me. YouTube friends of we've been having a conversation here, so and hearing me deal with these allergies not so gracefully. Liberty Lynn. Yeah, that's a mess. Visiting a doctor's office. Tess, good to see you. Thanks, friends, for tuning in over here. Thanks for hanging on the YouTube side. Thanks for jumping over on this side here in Facebook. We'll just wait one more minute so folks don't miss out. Allie, tell your dad I'll try to give him a call tomorrow. I see I missed his call again today. Scott Roberts, good to see you. And Lori Shank, you are a great champion of the people. So thank you for all that you do. Okay, let me look back here on YouTube. Rachel hopped over on YouTube, and Rosemary from Montco. Bevan Butler, thank you, my trooper. Oh, that's great. Elmer, it's good to see you a couple weeks back over there in Gap. Okay. Hey, Crystal, hope you're doing okay. Man, that sounds awful on this computer here. Turn that down. Okay, let's rock and roll. I think we're good to go. So good conversation last week with Donald Trump. He's doing well. Obviously, foremost on your minds, my mind, and his, as well as voting reform. And we were heartened by what we saw in Georgia. I really don't get why so many companies and organizations like Major League Baseball, et cetera, would view voter ID as racist. I don't know that it's not a good idea for businesses to draw into political battles that they have no idea what they're talking about. That's a talking point from the Democrat Party. Why would why would some of these companies parrot that and alienate half of their customers potentially? Hey, Bev from Fayette. So it's ironic that, of course, the All-Star game is moved out of Atlanta, which was supposed to be held there in honor of Hank Aaron, since he was the big champion and hero of the Braves in the 70s and 80s. I think I still have a couple of his baseball cards floating around. But they moved it to Colorado, the commissioner, and we'll see if he gives up his exclusive golf club membership in Augusta, right? I doubt it. But the irony is Colorado has voter ID requirements, and their voting law is more strict than Georgia's. This is just out of control here. Penny's saying, even now trees are being called racist. It's just out of control. And it's a dark time in our country when evil is good and good is evil. And so you have to have the irony. Some of the airlines out there that are now upset with the Georgia legislator using a constitutional process to safeguard and secure elections from fraud and from abuse, based off of facts and experience, based off of hey Hans, thank you, based off of a huge thing of what we do when together with NATO and the international community, we overseas, the United States military overseas watches elections in Afghanistan, Iraq, Kosovo, the Balkans, and back when there was a mission there trying to safeguard their elections. Voter ID was mandated and required, and it's ironic that we'll move heaven and earth to assure safe and secure elections in faraway places, but in our own state, it's so in our own country. It's racist to require an ID. So therefore, the irony of these airlines that are upset at Georgia, I guess they're racist because they require an ID when I go on an airplane. Any of you guys get on an airplane without showing an ID, a driver's license or a passport. So come on now. They want to see who you are and match you to your seat. So how is that any different than trying to match you to who's on the voting records? And if that's really you voting, really, come on, man. What about the buying cough medicine, even air spray, compressor spray for your computer, IDs, really? Spray paint in some states as well, in some communities, IDs, cigarettes and alcohol, IDs. Is that racist? So come on, stop it. And I heard some of the stuff from the floor, in Harrisburg. You just get early on, I'd want to sit and listen to the discussion on both sides to see if my position was wrong. You're okay. Maybe there's another argument to this here, but it's so many cliches, and then when all else fails, it's racist and blah blah blah, and just knock it off. So wanted an update on voting reform. Of course, what I told him is what I've been telling you actually. So voter ID requirement that's being the prime sponsor is Senator Judy Ward, and I'm a co-sponsor of that. Getting rid of this no excuse mail-in voting. It's been so compromised and abused by the changes made by the Supreme Court and by Kathleen Bookbar, former Secretary of State, whose confirmation I was only one of 4 Republicans to vote no on. We need to start voting people for competence and not with this antiquated idea. Well, the governor can have whoever they want. Okay, then why even have a Senate vote? It's just ridiculous. We should exercise our oversight power. The Democrats do. They almost stay unified in their opposition to any of President Trump's appointees. You remember that? Yes, and some of the box stores make their own picture ID to shop there. Is that racist? I like logic and reason and consistency. Is the argument logical? Is it reasonable? Is it consistent? So if one thing is racist, an ID to vote, therefore an ID for all cases, getting on base, as I already listed a bunch of stuff you need to show an ID for getting on an airplane. Airlines that are protesting this, okay. Look to your own house then, if you really believe it's racist. That's too funny. No ID needed to get a COVID vaccine. Well. So I was at my doctor's appointment. Was it yesterday? The nurse is kind of pushing real hard on the COVID vaccination, and I'm like, I don't want it. And she was selling it so hard, I thought she was a huge believer. And she's like, oh, I don't want it either. So I was like, okay, that's great. Anyway, it was a fun conversation. It was not obnoxious or disagreeable. It was polite and it was pleasant. It was kind of funny, the irony at the end. I'm like, yes, we think of the same mind. ID for tobacco, fishing license, alcohol, hunting license, fishing license. That's right. To get an X-ray, insurance card for vaccine. So obviously, I'll co-prime sponsor Kristen Phillips Hill legislation against requiring a COVID-19 passport. What a stupid idea. Why do I say that? 99.5% recovery rate, according to the experts, according to science. I think you're okay. Now look, any virus, any flu. I know it's sacrilege, it's blasphemy to talk about COVID, in the context of a flu. But any flu-like or virus-based infection, germ, virus, etc., some people will be affected differently by it. Hence, why Mastriano introduced last week the Medical Freedom Act, or bill. It's not an act. An act is a law. I sure wish it was an act, where you decide what goes in your own body. Wow, this is a novel concept here, that you have sovereignty, my body, my choice, when it really is your body. You get to say what goes in it. The irony is, that slogan that the left runs around, for 30 years, chanting mindlessly, brainlessly, science-denyingly. I'm making up words now. It's fantastic. science-denyingly. And it's not that baby and they're saying for abortion, that baby is not your body. It's somebody else's body. Really, come on now. We don't even need science in 2021 to tell us that. I mean, people have known that back in ancient times, but of course, the mantra in the early 70s, late 60s was a clump of flesh. No, it's not. That is a baby. That's a person. So anyway, that have to have debates with people that are normal, reasonable. Yeah, and you'll be a public health risk. No, if you're such a strong believer, go ahead and vaccinate yourself. I guess you can't do that unless you're trained. Go ahead and get the vaccination, and then you'll be impervious to us. There'll be no effect. There is no health risk. So you're okay. If you want it, get it. If you don't want it, and stop with this anti-vaxxer stuff. It's nonsense. We're not anti anything. We just want to have a say what goes in our own body. Imagine informed consent is a nice way to say that. Yes, Penny, it is somebody else's body, but it really is your body. There's not a baby. It's just you. And you have to get the shot to go back to normal. Maybe we'll give you 4th of July back. Yes, we'll celebrate Independence Day, with our friends and family only if some government official bureaucrat tells us it's okay. You see the irony? Celebrating Independence Day, but only if the sovereign tells you it's okay. We kind of missed the point of it there. So, really, I hope you guys had a great Easter. I hope you celebrated as you saw fit, or a great Passover and celebrated as you saw fit. Walk as free people. So anyway, do you really need what about a passport then for measles? That's way more contagious. And so many other viruses and infections out there. So, and I thought we had HIPAA. All the brouhaha when the governor in Pennsylvania, many states were not releasing the data by location. It was statewide numbers for the first month or so. I'm like, how stupid and useless is this? So the president's like, well, we need to roll back HIPAA temporarily. The president of the United States, Donald Trump, whom we love and miss, wanted to suspend aspects of HIPAA. The same thing I proposed in Pennsylvania, temporary rollback if it was going to be so deadly and so nasty as we were led to believe. And the blowback that I still get for that. It's like, really? Okay, I guess you're anti-Donald Trump as well. I thought it was a prudent measure, and it was designed to call out the governor for his hypocrisy and putting us at risk. And so anyway, it never happened, but I heard screams and heart palpitations from the left and the rhinos, Republicans in name only, those Republicans who spend all their time attacking other Republicans. They are not us. They are not Republicans. Jesus said you'll know them by their fruits. Watch those people around us that say they're Republicans, and we'll do whatever it takes to win elections. And you'll often hear me say lie, cheat, and steal to win. There's also some, that claim to be from our party that are like that as well. Steer clear away from them and their followers. Wow, YouTube, you guys are fantastic. I just had a disruption here on Facebook. What is going on? We're both on the same signal. We're both on the same Wi-Fi connection. I don't know what's going on. I guess I'm speaking too frankly. But walk as free people. Lisa is right. Losing friends over the shot. So what, Gene? They're not really friends. Yep, Kathy, I'm aware of some of the Fruit Loops out there saying things. Susan, that's funny. Really, I don't expend much time or energy, on those rodeo clowns that claim to be Republicans, but all they do is run against Republicans. They are a problem in our party, and sadly, they do garner a following from what I call the puritanical element of our party here. So it's very irksome, and we're supposed to be the thinking people, right? And we talk about how the Democrats mindlessly obey commands from their party. They stick together like glue. On our side here, what about Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, thou shalt not speak ill of another Republican? And so that's a problem. So anyway, and I will say, when you see those lies perpetuated by these these Democrats calling themselves Republicans. Oh, we have them here in our area of the state. If you're a Democrat running for a seat in this area of the state, you're not going to win. So you just change your party affiliation. And we do have people, in South Central PA, in the center T, as we call it, the top on New York, and the center part of the state that's conservative. I know it's bigger than that, but it's just a little cliche from those that have been doing this for a long time. But the Democrats aren't going to win any seats there, so just change your party affiliation. And we see that for some people that want your vote for higher office. It's kind of scary. So anyway. And I'm thankful that you're not fooled by their lies and deceit. Romans chapter 16 talks about that. I wish I had a copy of the Bible down here. It's worth taking a minute, and I'm going to wrap it up on this here. Just bear with me for 1 second, my friends. Please just hang on for 1 minute. I think what we're seeing here is a couple verses out of Romans chapter 16. Okay, Bible Gateway, let's go. It's thinking. Let's just type it in manually. Okay, there we go. So check out this. Almost there. I used to have most of this book memorized. I actually had the whole book memorized at one time. I haven't used it, so it went away. Okay. Romans 16, verse 17. I urge you, brothers and sisters, to watch out for those who cause divisions and put obstacles in your way that are contrary to the teaching you have learned. Keep away from them, for such people are not serving our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own appetites. By smooth talk and flattery, they deceive the hearts of naive people. I'll say it again. So I should go to King James the way I learned it. Give me 1 sec. Okay, here's in Old English. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. For they that are such serve not our Lord Jesus Christ, but their own belly, and by good words and fair speeches deceive the hearts of the simple. And that really applies to so many folks, So one thing why Donald Trump stays in contact is there's 253 legislators in Pennsylvania, and I'm the only one that gets these calls. He wants to know exactly what's going on in Pennsylvania. He saw what we did in Gettysburg on 25 November, and he knows that I could look myself in the mirror, and I looked at every legal constitutional approach that we could to get to the bottom of what happened, and he's looking for fighters. And hopefully you've seen over the past year, who the fighters are and who's not. You're going to hear a lot of speeches about what these people that want your vote for higher office are going to do for you. Where have they been the past year? Where have they been the past year? And when it's a pretty lonely battle this past year, in the end, only very few of us came out, because even some of the folks that we had at a lot of the rallies and what have you, came out pushing up against Donald Trump, pushing up against transparency and trying to get to the bottom of the election, to find out what happened, to do an audit, and even started throwing me underneath the bus. And we saw a lot of true colors there, and they won't soon be forgotten. So thank you, Rosemary. I appreciate that. Anyway, look at people at the work of their hands. Jesus says you'll know people by their fruit, by what they do, not just their words. It's easy to hold a little gathering in people's living rooms and use flattery and smooth talk, and brag about what you're going to do. What have you done this past year? And you look at the record of some of these people there, it's very disconcerting, troubling, and it's a dishonest approach. And they're politicians. They'll say whatever it takes to get the job done, and their job is promoting themselves. And one last thought here is one of our friends that's tuned in here, she did mention looking at the list of about the dozen or so people that may or may not get into the governor's race, and their observation, I think, was pretty astute. They said all these people they see on the list here, have an ambition to run, have a desire to run for some cause, whether it's self-promotion, a title, I don't know. You'll have to judge that yourself. But they said, you and Rebbe are the only ones being called by the people to step up. And we haven't made our decision yet. We're still praying about it. But do keep that in mind. Didn't need this job. I won't compare myself to Donald Trump. Didn't need this job. We obviously had far more lucrative opportunities and offers elsewhere, but needed to be here for such a time as this, and could not stand aside as we're watching our country and our state slip away to perdition. So I am thankful that we made this decision and the sacrifice to stand in the gap with you, not for you. It's with you. This is a team effort here, and yep, Freedom Press. We need to stand up. Thank you, Susan. You have a calling, and that's why we haven't made a decision. I know some people. I got a couple messages from a Facebook friend there, very impatient. You need to get in. You need to make a decision, and hopefully this doesn't sound too weird, but it is what it is. We need to get guidance from God. We need to have peace and direction from God. Rebbe and I in this decision. It's a life-changing decision, and it's something we don't do lightly. Almost all these politicians, except the big mouths out there that are really Democrats, they never said this there in their announcement. But all the politicians talk about after prayer and consideration, blah blah blah. They didn't really pray about it. We really are praying about it. So Susan's right. It's in God's time, not ours. And so I'll just ask you guys to be patient and and don't run into the arms of any of the candidates that come out the next few months. And I do think it'll probably be some months before we make our decision, but we'll see where God leads. So hopefully that makes sense. Linda in Chambersburg, top fan, good to see you. All right, so yep, and Gilbert's right. So Gilbert, and I will call you tomorrow, brother. You can text me a time or something, because he says it will also be a team effort to elect you as governor. So it will be a team effort. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie gave me a card about a year ago this June out there in Westmoreland County. God doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. So still have that little piece of cardboard. So we're with you. So if we do get in, obviously we'll need your help. Well, looking at this from a John chapter 10 perspective, where Jesus talked about, who among you, when you decide to build a tower, you don't count the cost. Make sure you have enough resources and what have you to finish the job. So that, I think, what we're doing now, it makes sense. We're trying to get a feel for how broad and extensive the support is as we pray to see what the leading is, and how committed people are. It's going to be more than I'll vote for you. So when I do see people say that in person, I'm like, oh, brother, I really believe in you and I will vote for you. I'm like, thank you. It's not enough. We'll need you to work, to volunteer, and donate if you can. For those of you on a tight budget, don't donate money. So I hear from people, hey, I'm on Social Security, and I gave you, no, please buy food. We will be okay. The last thought here before I wrap up with one last thing the president did talk about with me, and I'm not going to share obviously any of the things that are confidential, just generally. Where was I? It's a big step. And it's got 67 counties around the state. We will need people to host us, to host events, big speaking events. I mean, we're going to drive 4 or 5 hours down the road. We're going to have to, engage as much people as we can while we're in the area. So, and you guys, who live in the various places across the state will know where we need to go. You'll know the key restaurants. You'll know the key individuals, in your area. Obviously, in my district, I have a fairly good feel, nearby, but beyond, there's a lot of areas where we're going to need help, and people are already hosting us. We haven't announced for anything, and as we have all year long this past year, we've been speaking around the state, and we try to make that happen. Some folks, I have I have seen some folks comments. I try to reach out to Mastriano, on Facebook, writing generally to an audience. And I look through all the messages on my Fighting for Freedom on my Senate page, and on my private page. I don't see any messages. I try to invite him. If you're inviting me on Facebook, I try to thumb through and answer. But there's, I think last month we had over 1 million responses on the Senate page. So I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna miss a lot. I miss a lot. So if it's not campaign related, and right now I'm not running for anything, you contact my office and get it on the schedule. If it is a campaign related event, obviously reach out on Fighting for Freedom. Can't do any campaign related discussion with my staff on government pages, the Senator Doug Mastriano page or on my Senate email. But all campaign related stuff is on Fighting for Freedom. You can message me or you can email, Doug at fightforpa.com. So anyway, that's that. Thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. Holly, good to see you. Looking forward to going out there as well. And Carrie, look, Indiana and Westmoreland, we're coming. Thank you, Marcus and Schuylkill. And Lucinda, we love Fulton County. And Jamie knows quite a few people in Chester, so I appreciate that. And Rick at Clarion County, yeah, Clarion is awesome, top fan. We're blessed with a great state with incredible people. Some of the county leadership have already, this past summer, pledged their support for me if we run. There's several counties actually that have done that. Hopefully, it'll still be the case because, like I said, there's still be some decent folks running. My goal and desire as I wrap up here will not be to make this, a bashing fest on the other Republicans in the race. There are some knuckleheads out there that we'll have to punch them back, and that's a metaphor. Push back politically. But we should be able to, have a tough race in the primary, and we should be able to part as friends. Much as I did with Congressman John Joyce. So we ran against each other. He won for Congress, and we're friends. We communicate frequently with each other. That's the way it needs to be, and so we have each other's back. There's not games going on. And I think you guys know, what you see is what you get. I'm pretty no nonsense. I was in the Army most of my adult life, and pretty much this is it. And so finally, 45 did ask if I made my decision yet on the gubernatorial race. I said, Mr. President, we're still praying about it. And I said, you'll be among the first to know once we make that decision. So obviously he's watching it very closely. He's a good man, and he's got a giant heart. He's a good, thoughtful person. And usually when Rebbe and I speak to him, we walk away feeling more encouraged. And we go in the room or we pick up the phone or call him, wanting to bless and encourage him. Because he's, it's been a rough, imagine, you work your tail off as he did, like no one ever has for president. Incredible pace. And then, what happened. He's encouraged by what Georgia is doing and by Arizona. They do have Republican governors. Wish they would have been similarly bold, last year with voting reform and voting protections. I did remind them because, here's laid out all the legislation, protecting poll watchers, going back to absentee voting as I had to do most of my life, going with voter ID and on and on. Listen, I had my little sheet of stuff that you've heard before. It's in my newsletters. But I did remind me, just so you know, as a reminder, we do have a Democrat governor. He's very close with Joe Biden. So, but we need to push forward, right? We got to stop being so pragmatic as Republicans. Oh, he'll veto it. How do you know? Why write another, pro-life bill? The governor's going to veto it. What a waste of time. No, stop. It took Wilberforce 47 years. It took him 47 years to end slavery. Every year he was fighting for the freedom of all men and women. And there was and the money was against him. The industry was against him. The bureaucrats were against him. Special interests were against him. And he won in the end because of his persistence. So we need to grow, not weary, doing good. So thank you, my friends. Thank you, Margarita, for your prayer cover. Because every life is worth it. That's right. So if we do have trouble on that YouTube page, we do have a bit more freedom. So I'm watching what's going on there. Anyway, okay, back over here. So it's an honor. It's always a thrill to hear from him. I do owe him some more um, updates in the months to come. Justin, good to see you. God has never and will never forsake the righteous. God's truth is marching on. Yeah, and that would be fantastic. Obviously, thank you, Jody, top fan from State College. In my discussion with President Trump, of course, I laid out. I said, "Hey, I think there's going to be about a dozen people in the race, and some aren't even worth talking about." But very honest and blunt with him, said, "Hey, there's four of us that you know." And I don't know how well he knows some of the other guys, but obviously they showed up at a lot of his rallies last year. Not much more than that, though. Would have been nice to have a little bit of help there this past year. So as you make your decision, and whether we are in or not, there's a couple things I'll ask you to consider. So you're going to hear these fair speeches, in people's living rooms, or from a stage at a large event or at a dinner, and you're going to hear some fiery speeches like, "Wow, this person, he's a straight talker, straight shooter," and then just give pause and say, "What did he do in 2020 when we needed him most? I mean, where were they when our state was shut down? Where were they when the governor was snatching away our freedoms? Where were they when this election fraud happened? What were they doing if they were in local government? Did they bring in Dominion machines?" Yeah, in this one case, one of these cats, so self-righteous and indignant, actually brought in Dominion voting machines. So ask yourself, what are the works of the hands? Talk is cheap. Tell them to walk their talk. And if they haven't done what they say they're going to do coming up, they ain't going to do it. We got to stop settling. The chestnuts that come out from the establishment, the people that are establishment or inclined towards rhinoship, Republican in name only, or perhaps are really Democrats in their hearts, but are pragmatic and say they can win on the Republican ticket. I don't know. You'll have to judge those things there. But the chestnuts, too conservative to win the state. Donald Trump won in 2016. So that's Rick Santorum won as well, for Senate a few years back. That's an old chestnut to get you to be pragmatic and to settle. And hey, can he raise money, or can she raise money? Just stop. One thing that they don't know with the establishment is we got a statewide movement, and I'm just reminding you guys to stay patient. It's going to be some months, I do believe, and there's no games here. We're not posturing. We're not strategizing. My thought and desire was that if we're going to do it, we need to, pragmatically, the way it's always done is you go in early, get people to commit, and but isn't that man's way, or is that God's way? And so just continue to lift us up in prayer. And so anyway, hold us up in prayer that the attacks will be pushed off so we have time to think, that we can push back, and that we had time to think and pray honestly, and to hear from God on this. But thank you for your patience. This one, again, longer than I had hoped, but I think there was a few things that we need to talk about because you guys mean a lot to us. And so thank you, Grace. I appreciate that. Yeah, okay. So thank you for pushing back on the knuckleheads. So this right now is actually Fighting for Freedom is not a campaign page, and so we do have more free. A Senate page, obviously, there's a lot of First Amendment. It's a government page. Right now, everything I'm talking is a private page. So for the haters out there, please don't go too far. You're welcome here, but please don't be obnoxious. These are actually private pages right now. So I'm not campaigning or running for anything on fighting for freedom or on this YouTube page. It's for just general information to talk with my friends, so we can disagree without being disagreeable. Right? Let's try for that. We can do it. I know we can. So thank you, my friends. Praying a blessing in Jesus' name, everyone out there, that we won't grow weary. It's over. It's 400 plus days, and it's tough to hang in there. It's gone way too far. We're praying for endurance, praying blessings over you and your family. Don't give up. You're not alone. If there's something we can do legislative wise to help you, if you have ideas legislation wise, please reach out to my staff. But in the meantime, praying a blessing in Jesus' name over everyone out there. And we're thankful for you guys. And God bless you guys. And I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Okay. Give you guys